In my first video to get over 100,000 views on this channel, thank you so much. I did a video on where are the Guardians in Tears of the Kingdom, and by the way, we found one. There's one on the top of the Hateno Tech Lab. Thank you for letting me know in the comments. You also will let me know in the comments about how wrong I was about the comment about Gloom being a weaker form of Malice. I wanted to talk about that a little bit more, and you can continue to tell me how wrong you think I am in the comments down below. This should be a pretty quick one. So first of all, Gloom and Malice, they are the two substances that appear to be related to Ganon or Ganondorf in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. For the sake of this video, they are the same thing. Heck, for the sake of the canon, they're effectively the same thing. I think in Tears of the Kingdom, Malice is basically never mentioned, if at all. Both emanate from under Hyrule Castle. Both can be kind of formed into monsters, either both directly from the substance or in the form of like the bokoblins, which when they die, kind of burst into a purple mist, which reflects that of Malice. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that these two substances are basically just the same thing, just expressing itself a little bit differently. And by expressing itself in different quantities. So am I wrong that Gloom is weaker than Malice? Well, technically yes, because they're the same thing. It's just different versions of the same thing. But you might think, no, there is a distinguishing difference between Gloom and Malice. Hang on. Gloom is red and Malice is a sort of pinky purple color. Except I don't think this is a difference of the two different substances so much as it is just a difference of time and perhaps exposure to the air or possibly even sunlight. We know that when you stand in Malice in Tears of the Kingdom, you do lose your hearts, which is why so many people said to me, Toby, Gloom is like so much stronger than Malice, except you get your hearts back the moment you stand in sunlight. But what about Link losing his arm and all his hearts at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom? We'll get to that. The point is, there's something about this substance that doesn't do well with sunlight, which is why it's so prevalent in the depths of Hyrule. It's only recently on the surface as the result of the upheaval. Before that, it was only able to appear on the surface in the form of this kind of gas that was making people feel ill. So my take is that just after this substance has been on the surface for a while, it takes a more pinky purpley hue, and we can actually sort of see that with the Gorons in Tears of the Kingdom, who eat the marbled rock that's been infected with this with the Gloom, and then their eyes turn pinky purple as a result of consuming it. So with that said, I'm going to run through the weakest form of this substance to the strongest form of this substance, starting with Gloom the Gas. This appears at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom. Zelda and Link are going to investigate it because it's been making people not feel well. It's been coming from the bottom of Hyrule Castle and emanating up through to the surface world. It and all of its variations that I'm about to talk about have been coming from the same source, which of course is Ganondorf underground. This, when Ganondorf wakes up, is when the upheaval happens, and now this gloop form of Gloom appears all over the surface of Hyrule. It's also pretty prevalent in the depths. I imagine it's been down there for a while, but out of sunlight it keeps that strong red color. On the surface, it also has that strong red color, but only because it's only recently been there. It hasn't been in this concentration for long yet. It's especially prevalent on the outside of the chasms, and if you stand in it, you'll lose your hearts at a slow pace, but the moment you step back out, you'll get your heart containers back, and there's even clothing and food that can provide you with resistance to the substance. However, should the substance be allowed to build up over time, left out in the sunlight, the red turns to a more pinky purple hue. It becomes Malice, which if you stand in, you lose your heart containers at a much faster rate than you did with Gloom. From both substances, creatures can form. The Phantom Ganon, the hands, oh my goodness, the hands are like the scariest enemy in all of Zelda. And also when it comes to Malice, there's the eyes. But when it comes to the Malice form, the more concentrated form, it ultimately can turn into the Blight Ganons or even the Calamity Ganon himself. Can be made out of this substance. It has been allowed to build up, and while no, it doesn't remove heart containers, which ultimately can be restored in the form of Gloom, it does eliminate your health incredibly quickly, and it threatens the lives of Hyruleans directly in the form of the Calamity Ganon manifest. But I know what you're going to say, absurd Zelda theories. What about the attack from Ganondorf at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom that wipes out Link's hearts completely, removing those containers in a way where they cannot come back without him finding new heart containers? It even decays his arm and the Master Sword and threatens his life if it wasn't for Raru's arm. And to that I say, yeah, this is the most concentrated we've ever seen the substance. But I wouldn't call that Gloom in the same way I'd call the wispy gas version Gloom. I wouldn't necessarily call it Malice either. It shares qualities of both. It's got the reddish hue because it's fresh. It's come from Ganondorf himself very directly and very immediately. However, it's got the consistency of the Calamity Ganon. It's got the consistency and thickness of Malice being blasted directly at the hero at close range from the source. This is the most powerful we've ever seen it used. This form of the substance is so powerful it causes the whole upheaval to happen. So I believe this is it in its most raw and pure form. In this way, is Gloom weaker than Malice? Well, if you're calling the wispy gas that makes people feel a little bit ill, yes. But if you're talking about this version that comes straight from the Demon King himself, then no. And is one stronger than the other generally? Not really, they're the same thing. Anyway, don't forget to let me know how wrong I am in the comments down below, and I'll see you with a new video soon.